Namaskaram, humanity. Jai Shri Ram. And welcome back to the We Are Not Lonely podcast. Right, so this week the podcast isn't really planned. I've been traveling for about a week. Well, more like 4 days. Let's just call it a week because I left last week and I ended up here this week. And I didn't have much time to prepare. I wasn't able to read as much on this one particular topic that I wanted to explore. Like I said last time, I'm reading a particular book called India, that is Bharat, and it's been extremely illuminating to say the least. I've understood a great deal about a lot of things, especially the way the Western colonial masters treated Indians and non-whites basically. But more than that, it was extremely eye-opening to see the sort of superiority complex they had just because they worshipped another god. They were primarily Christian, and they had the sense of white is better than brown. And that's basically what led to their entire treatment of the natives as subhuman beings. I've spoken about all of that in the previous podcast, and I've sort of been digesting that fact. And an interesting point to note, it's barely been a week. It's been exactly a week since I put out the podcast, but at the time that this phenomenon happened, King Charles got crowned as king, I suppose, and Rishi Sunak, who's an Indian, had to speak about this entire thing. He had to, not speak, he had to attend the coronation, and he had to read out from the Bible. You will notice that I skipped the word holy, and it's specifically because of the reactions of certain individuals from the UK that I've decided to skip that particular epithet. I'm going to be exploring that a lot more, right, in the coming podcasts, obviously, because I just put out an entire podcast about the sort of attitude that a Christian has toward non-Christians. And this is relevant because this is still happening today. For example, Rishi Sunak went on, he read from the Bible, and a guy went on British television and called him a heathen. Now, we're taught again and again that it's Britain, it's the United Kingdom that has showed us how to be gentlemen, how to be civilized, and that they are, generally speaking, the epitome of culture, so to speak. And this sharply dressed man on national television just had to demolish all of that the moment he opened his mouth with his ignorant words. I'm going to get into that a lot more, but that kind of talk is not cool. It's hard-coded into their religion that they have this inbuilt sense of superiority just because they worship another figure up in the sky. And that's sort of troubling. And this is going to be a prediction that I'm going to make for the first time on air. And you can call me on it in the future when it comes true. You can quote me, alright? Religious extremism is going to rise over this decade, as we draw closer to 2030, and it's going to be the prime reason for the upcoming conflicts in the world. Now, I'm not going to say which, but it's going to be an Abrahamic religion that's going to cause the most issues. Mark my words. There's going to be a lot of problems in the world due to religious extremism. Due to an extremist religion, but people will be very clever and swap the words around and play with the words because that's what people do these days. They are quite clever at juggling words to make new meanings pop out from different areas. So you can quote me on this. I've gone on record. This podcast is being recorded. Actually, on the day it's going to be put out, it's being recorded on the 11th of May 2023. I'm not going to tell you the time. But here it is. I've made a statement. I've gone on record to say this particular fact. So, when things break down and the universe is all like, oh no, we are problems, we are facing problems, and you can point to this particular podcast, this young man was able to predict such an event so many years ago. Perhaps I engineered the entire thing. Moo ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. That's my evil. Oh my god, sorry. That last bit was a joke. I did not engineer any situation. For legal purposes, I would like to add that disclaimer. That last bit was totally a joke. Okay. So I don't particularly know what this podcast is going to be about. I've literally sat in front of the mic because without any preparation, and I don't know what it's going to be about because I'm totally unprepared. Alright? But suffice it to say, there's always going to be something that I have to say. Because I have such a big, dirty opinion. That's what she said. Oh my god. So yeah, that's about it, Chief. I've been putting things together on a personal front. It's been a couple of months since I went through a transformation. And that transformation actually inspired me to start, not inspired, it's pushed me to start writing again. I've been journaling diligently, more or less, thanks to this particular phenomenon. And I'm extremely glad that all of this happened at the end, because it's just leading me to another breakthrough, as always. But the point I've been trying to make is that everyone responds differently to crisis, don't they? Some people just crumble and fall in front of all that pressure. They're not able to withstand that pressure and they crumble. Others rise up to the occasion. Now, this isn't to say that I'm a great person because I'm rising up to the occasion and I'm using all of this pain for evolution. Or maybe I am. What's your problem? Huh? I'm better than you. Oh my god. Oh, it's difficult to convey sarcasm over the internet. Yeah, but perhaps a small part of me does have that, oh, I'm better than you. Why small part? Just say it's a big part and get it done with. Admit to the truth. Stop lying to people. You know what I'm saying? So this is the situation. And so this podcast is going to be a short one, but it's going to be packed with information and a lot of sarcasm and the rest. Gonna be crazy. It's hard to believe just how fast time is flying. It's already May. I remember it like yesterday, like the year started. And I remember the beginning of the year quite well, calendar year wise. It started at 12. I got a call from a person who is now a former friend, but that's how the year started. It was brilliant. My point is that I don't know if I even have a point, man. I've reached a point in life where I'm starting to look back. I can see I've lived decades. I can just bring up, oh, it was 10 years ago. I can say decades ago in conversation without being sarcastic. So I've reached that point in life. I know that I'm starting to kind of feel old, right? Like I realize the age isn't really catching up with me. I'm still very spry, very, very powerful and all that. But my point is that I'm realizing that yes, I'm getting older. There are things that I should be focusing on, like wealth. And that's something that I, unfortunately, chose to avoid for a very long time, and perhaps I should talk about that, right? This is phenomenon, especially in India, in middle class households, where finance is such a taboo topic, man. Most of the, this is, I suppose you could call this my lived experience and sort of a study, but generally what characterizes the middle class is a great deal of debt, and they're not using that in the right way. And I think this is an idea that even Robert Kiyosaki speaks about. The middle class and the poor, the poor don't really have access to good debt, The middle class have much more access to debt, and the rich have great access, which is weird because thinking logically it should be the other way around, but let's not go there. Debt also requires you to be able to pay it back, and lending to a poor person is a very risky task, I suppose. All right. But we're not here to talk about that, and we're not here to debate on whether or not it's philosophically right for poor people to get so little money, and we're not going to be debating the Pareto principle, any of that shit for now. But suffice it to say, those are all fascinating topics, man. Like the Pareto principle itself is so brilliant when you think about it, when you go into the whole thing. It governs distribution. And it's universal. It doesn't just speak about money. It seems to be a natural thing for things to accumulate. Now, if you haven't heard of the Pareto principle, it's basically a saying that 20% of the results give 80%, no, 80% of the results come from 20% of the actions. This is Pareto principle applied to productivity, and I'm speaking about this in particular because I am a very productive person, or at least I try to be, and part of the YouTube channel is dedicated to recording my journey to becoming a more productive person. Hey, that's actually a good hook. Okay. Now the point is that when we talk about the Pareto principle, we haven't found a way to do wealth distribution without breaking this, because this is nature, and if we break nature, there's always something nasty. There's always some nasty side effect to messing around with nature, and we are kind of understanding that now when it comes to the effects of poisoning the earth with so much pollution and over consuming and all of that nonsense. Now the point is that the Pareto principle applied to wealth states that a very small percentage of people will hold a very large percentage of wealth. And the more wealth you have, the easier it is for you to make more. And that's why debt is such a good tool if used right, because it gives you access to a certain amount of wealth. The Pareto principle, as it applies to wealth, I kind of lost track of the conversation because I got a call. But suffice it to say that debt is a useful tool. It's leverage. You're using it to access higher forms of wealth, because the more money you have, the more money you can make. Generally speaking, that's true. You have access to a certain network, you have access to loans that people otherwise wouldn't have. It just gets easier as you climb up the ladder. And this is logical. This is how things work. And I've noticed that too. You just have to transform that trickle. Now, a lot of people talk about Warren Buffett, I guess. What most people don't know is that a huge amount of his wealth, the compounding of his wealth, came after his 60-something birthday. Until then, he was a millionaire. But after that particular point, he became a multi-billionaire. Now, I'm not here to debate on the ethics of people having so much wealth and so much thing and all of that. But even this concept of billionaires, dude, like the idea, everybody likes to talk about the idea of having rice grains. And if a person has like one rice grain is equal to $1,000 and they use the rice grains to represent people's wealth. Well, this is going to sound like I'm standing up for multi-billionaires, but that's not really true. All right? Most people have this really stupid idea of billionaires. They don't have billions of dollars in cash in their account. For most people, becoming a millionaire is equivalent to having $1 million and then spending $1 million. But if you have $1 million just to spend $1 million, you're not really a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? You've just spent $1 million. Maybe if you had $10 million, you could afford to spend $1 million, because then you'd still be a millionaire. Now it does sound like I'm making a very strong case for keeping back billionaires and millionaires and all of that nonsense, but I still have to look into this. It would be ideal to tax people proportionate to their wealth increases. Or we just have one fair rate of tax throughout. And according to the Shastras, I believe that was, I think Kautilya, Chanakya, in his Arthashastra recommends 1/6 of a person's earnings must be given away. And I'm sort of trying to adhere to that particular principle at the moment. Now, all of this took me on a wide frigging detour. My point that I was trying to make is that wealth is kind of a complicated topic. People like to assume it's very simple and that the billionaires have this huge hoard of wealth that they're sitting on. They literally imagine a pile of gold coins and Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and Bill Gates. Two of those names which I don't really like. Yeah, Elon has his brilliant freaking social media presence and he's got way more popular than these other two. I think by being a lot more relatable than the other two, I suppose. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm not trying to defend these people. I'm not talking about the ethics of a person having so much wealth, but I'm just talking about this plain simple idea, alright? A billionaire does not have $1 billion in his pocket ready to be spent. Most of that billionaire's value is in stock. They are worth so much because they own a particular stock, which is extremely valuable. But the problem is they can't even liquidate that stock, because if the owner, starts to sell, to liquidate their stock, issues happen, man. People panic. Now, I can't really explain it to people who don't even have the faintest idea about the stock market and about how companies are valuated and so on and so forth. But this just makes a very good case for financial education. People don't know shit, especially when it comes to money. They don't know about these companies. They would prefer to live in their world, living paycheck to paycheck. And that's alright, but then you can't complain that people are playing the game so well. This is the game. Learn the rules, learn to play it. Now, I do want to say that it's important for everybody to have a basic financial education. People need to learn. Alright? And I suppose it's sort of criminal that we aren't really taught about this in school. There are specific sorts of schools where you can go to learn about all of this, how to leverage, how to use leverage in a company, how to use debt, all of that. It's there. Like, you learn this in business classes, especially in finance-based business classes, which is ideally what you should be going to college for, because the rest are skills that you can pick up as you go through. Finance, well, I suppose it would do better in a more academic sort of a situation. It's better to learn accounts from an accountant, I suppose. But these are just loose ideas that I'm throwing out there. I do honestly think that everybody should learn finance. I mean, have at least a basic understanding about finance and companies and valuations and so on and so forth. Because this is such an important part of a person's life. Money, I mean, we call this the rat race for a reason. We're all running after something, and that something is money. So this podcast is about money. Surprise, surprise. Money is the main thing that's been on my mind for the past couple of months, and is going to be my main focus over the next couple of years. Well, not the main focus. I have other things, but this is going to be one of the main reasons. I do want to accumulate that number. I want to increase that number. I want to push that number higher and higher and higher. Now, considering the fact that it's a number, a little philosophy that I'm just going to throw at you, numbers are infinite, and if your happiness is decided by a number, you're going to keep chasing that bigger number until your death, because the biggest number, I mean, it's not really biggest number. It's infinite. Numbers can go on to infinity. It'll never end. Get what I'm saying? My point being is that you plebs need to stop complaining, get off your asses, pull up your socks, stop drinking coffee. Maybe then you can afford a house. Yeah, there are a lot of issues, I will admit. Alright? And the game is getting more and more difficult to play. But at the same time, this is a vast, infinite world filled with infinite possibility. And if you spend enough of your time on a problem, it can be solved. Everybody has their strengths. Everybody has their unique strengths. Play to it. Fill up your weaknesses. Acquire skills. Accumulate money. I mean, when I say it like this, it sounds very simple. But I have been doing the first three. The fourth is what I've just started doing. I've started to accumulate more wealth. And that's my current journey as well, I suppose. My point is that there are very specific rules when it comes to playing in the financial domain, when it comes to wealth building. There are certain rules that you have to follow. You can't really go do things your way. If you play by certain rules, your journey to building wealth becomes a lot easier. And you can't really argue with these rules. Now, a long time ago, there was this one video about Hamza. There was this one video by Hamza where he talks about, oh, if you want more money, just earn more money. Don't talk about saving more money. And while generally speaking, I agree that is a very sensible idea on how to do things, I'm just going to say that for the vast majority of people, it's not going to work. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. There will be people who are happy with working a 9 to 5. Entrepreneurship isn't for everybody. It's a high risk, high return endeavor. And the idea is that, generally speaking, high risk, high returns means I put in, I will definitely get back. Baba, the whole point is high risk. You stand a chance of losing everything. That's the concept of high risk. And the game of wealth building, if you don't play it the right way, is extremely risky. Now, the idea that our man kept talking about in this video is that, oh, if you want more money, just earn more money. Most people don't have that option, dude. And generally speaking, from a financial perspective, from a behavioral finance perspective, what happens to most people when they start making more money, because they don't get large payouts, they get increments, and these increments are tiny. Alright? For example, if you're making like $1,000 a week, suddenly, maybe after a lot of work, maybe after a couple of projects that you're very successful on, you make $1,200. You get an extra $200 per week. That adds up to another $800 per month. Now I'm using dollars because that is the standard currency. It is the global currency of the world, and every currency in the world is pegged to the US dollar for now. And people can sort of like convert this to their home currency, which is what most people do anyway. Now the point is that when this person gets that increment of $200 per week, and what they do is they end up having this phenomenon called lifestyle creep. They upgrade their lifestyle to accommodate that extra income. And this is, generally speaking, this happens to most people. Because most people are normal people. They're not entrepreneurs earning $10,000 per month, $100,000 per month. You know what I'm saying? They're not YouTubers with this massive follower base. They're working shitty jobs that they hate. living in an apartment that they don't particularly like. Most of them buying things that they don't need to impress people that they don't like. And that's a quote from Fight Club, sue me. But it's very true. That's how people work. So, I'm just gonna say, dude, Hamza, you're wrong, dude. Like, at this particular thing, most people can't make more money. It's not, I mean, or maybe they don't want to. Maybe they don't have the opportunities. They don't have the skills. You know what I'm saying? They would definitely learn a lot from being financially disciplined. Oh, and he's gonna make this. If Jeffrey says, the finance Jeffrey says, earn money, save money for thousands and thousands of months. Put away $100 for the rest of your life, and you'll be a millionaire by the time you hit 65. This is the safest path to becoming a millionaire. Yeah, you need to take risks if you want to earn money. But generally speaking, most people work till retirement. And they want to have like some money when they retire. And contributing to a 401k, I guess that's what they do in the UK. I mean, sorry, the US. That kind of rhyme. 401k, UK. My point is that, generally speaking, most people don't even have that financial knowledge, dude. Like, they don't know about all of these things. Like in India, if you invest in certain stocks, if you invest in certain bonds, you get a tax rebate. You can plan your tax to reduce your tax burden. This is legal. This is allowed. Not everybody knows it. People should. Yeah, the information is out there. But no one's going ahead and reaching out and grabbing it. Maybe it would be of more use if we implemented this in education systems. Like, start teaching them about money from a young age. But this is a rare skill, dude. I mean, it should be taught. I agree. I'm for it. But they're not gonna. So, you have the freedom of choice. Learn up on finance. What exactly is my point? Finance is important. It does seem like the education system doesn't consider it important, despite the fact that we're playing the rat race, and that the entire point is to have a bigger number in the bank, and yet we're not being taught the crucial skills to accumulate those bigger zeros at the end. So all you have to do is do it yourself. Learn by yourself. Be self-sufficient. But most people would rather not do this. They want an easy life. Everything comes down to that, huh? If you want good things, you're gonna have to work for something, and you're gonna have to work hard, and you're gonna have to make sacrifices. Now, I'm not saying that in order to become a multi-millionaire, you need to scrimp and be an absolute Spartan monk and not do anything fun in life at all. It's not the point. You need to find balance. Live the life that you would be happy to live, while saving towards a life that you would like to have, while slowly working towards that life that you would like to have. And this is a complex topic. This is the first time I've explored this particular topic. Well, I've explored the topic of finance earlier, but not quite in this particular way. I was actually summarizing certain topics from a particular book. But next time, we're going to go deeper into this, because I like this topic. I like talking about money. And like they say, whatever's on your mind and whatever you talk about, you will attract. So, second podcast on the money. Kasse, parna, dutte, money. Kasse, parna, dutte, money. Kasse, parna, dutte, money. Kasse, parna, dutte, money. I've spoken a lot of... that is an affirmation. I'm attracting whatever I speak. So cash, kasu, panam, duttu, money. That's kasu is Tamil. Panam is also Tamil. Duttu is also Tamil. All of these words mean the same thing. Money. So yeah, that's the thing, man. Financial knowledge is one of the premium skills you can learn, because it'll directly impact how you live your life. And the better your skills, the more you're able to earn. Now the world of finance is vast, dude. Like, you can, if you have adequate knowledge, you can start looking into other avenues, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. Learning how to manage your money. Once you learn how to manage your money, you need a place where you can park your money, obviously, because keeping money in the bank, it just depreciates. As in, because of inflation, the value of money is always constantly falling. So it doesn't make sense to just take your money and earn a lot of money and keep it in the bank. That's not how things work, because then you're just losing the game. Earning a lot of money and spending it and keeping a small bit aside, no, that's not it, chief. You need to take it up to another level, and that's where you start learning about investing. Now, you could outsource this because it is quite detailed, but you need a good financial manager. You need a good portfolio. You need to start building a portfolio. You need a good blend of growth stocks and stability. You need growth and stability, and perhaps you need to earn like a small income from your portfolio as well. And that's what we call, like, in this thing, portfolio income. That's brilliant, isn't it? So many avenues that we don't know. And generally speaking, you need money to earn money, sort of. You can also build a product. You can also own a business. You can provide services, but then you're just exchanging your time for money. Different ways. Earn money, and then make money, earn money. That's the way. That's the way all of these super rich people do it. They get to the point where their money is self-sufficient. It starts earning by itself, and that's brilliant. That's the goal. For anybody who's getting into this world of finance, it's just, money is not the end in itself. It's just a means to an end. You want to do something in life, and money is a way to reach that goal quicker. Now, money is one of the ways that you can use to get to that goal quicker, to expedite your process, to make it easier, I suppose. Money is not the end goal in itself. And which is why the idea of having goals is really important. Like, what do you want to do in life? Where do you want to go? It all ties in together, dude. And that's the brilliant thing. Because like I said, if you're pursuing only money, it's just a number in the bank. It's a number. It's electronic data. That's it. Money today is just data. And they're numbers. It's represented in the form of numbers. And numbers are infinite. And if money is all you want, you'll be chasing that you'll be running on that rainbow bridge to infinity, dude. And you'll never get anywhere. Because even if you dedicate an entire lifetime to just accumulating wealth, I mean, sure, you will accumulate a decent amount, but if you had lived one more year, like suppose, let me just make the idea concrete, right? A person who has lived for 90 years and a person who has lived for 91 years, let us assume both of them have dedicated equal amounts of time, effort, and money and resources to earning their entire thing, and everything else is equal. Just because of that time factor of one extra year, person A dies at 90 and person B dies at 91. Because of that thing of one extra year, this person B is able to have bigger numbers. So what I'm saying is, like, the more time, the more... I'm not really making my point right. Let me rephrase that. If you keep chasing money, you will get what you want. No doubt. But you'll never be satisfied, because numbers are infinite. And you'll keep chasing a bigger number. So chase something that is bigger than the number. Ooh, philosophy! Woo! And the numbers will follow. That's pretty deep, I guess, even if I do say so myself. And I think I will end the podcast on this particular idea. I think we should do something on productivity, because that's kind of relevant. Efficiency, productivity, and so on and so forth. Thank you for joining me today. I did not know what the podcast was going to be about, but it looks like money's on my mind a lot these days, so the podcast was about money. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. I will see you again next week. Ta-ta! I have a class to attend now. I'll see you again next week. Punarmilam. Jai Shri Ram.